I did history club, which is just a club you do in school. You know, you study history, and then you get to pick your own topic, and you get to make a project. And last year's theme was New Frontiers in History, and you get to pick any topic you want, any project, and you just write a script or anything, and you continue on with that. And this was my project last year, and I actually went to nationals with it, which I'm really proud of. And it usually one thing that we had to do was fit in a 10-minute time frame, so it's not gonna be that long. Don't have to worry. So, I'm an Ojibwe, and the reason I chose this project is to spread awareness about my heritage and how this new frontier in American history affects me. In America, a little over 100 years ago, there were these boarding schools. The thing is, though, these boarding schools aren't like the ones we currently have today. They're built for Native Americans to assimilate their ways into American culture. The underlying push for this assimilation was westward expansion across the United States. They expanded their territory and wanted more land. As the frontier moved westward, across the Great Plains and even to the Pacific Ocean, settlers invaded indigenous territory, killed natives with the help of the U.S. military, and relocated communities to reservations. The frontier moved from reservations and then into boarding schools. The frontier to erase Native American culture changed over time, but also remained the same when it did enter the boarding schools. Now, all of that may not sound bad, but this new frontier in America to civilize the Native American through re-education harmed many of my people, and domino effect harmed me. You see, my ancestors were put in these schools. My grandfather and his brothers were put in these schools. And I'm here to tell their story, and the stories of others have been told through oral histories. The Americanization era of Native Americans first began in 1819 when the U.S. Congress passed the Civilization Fund Act. This act encouraged American education to be provided to indigenous societies and therefore enforced the civilization process. This process was a new frontier for the Native Americans. Boarding schools started being established in 1860 when the Bureau of Indian Affairs established the first on-reservation boarding school on the Akimi Indian Reservation in Washington, D.C. In 1879, Congress authorized the establishment of the first off-reservation boarding school. Congress authorized the establishment of the Carlisle Indian Industrial Boarding School in Pennsylvania. The school's first superintendent, Captain Henry Pratt, advocated for Americanization and cultural assimilation. He stated, "A great general once said that the only good Indian is a dead one. In a sense, I agree with that sentiment, but only this, that all the Indian there is the race should be dead. Kill the Indian in him and save the man." There are 408 boarding schools across 37 states, including Hawaii and Alaska. In 1870, Congress authorized an annual appropriation of $100,000 for the support of industrial schools among tribes otherwise not provided for. Attendance at these mission schools was made mandatory by regulation for all children on tribes aged 6 through 16. In 1900, there were around 20,000 Native children in these schools. In 1925, it was more than tripled. An estimated 40,000 Native children died in these schools. Boarding schools ended in the 1960s after numerous charges were filed for abuse and racism. The first boarding school in Michigan was opened in 1891 and was the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. Children from all over the state of Michigan, along with children from Alaska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and New York, came to the Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. Here's my grandfather's story. I was born and raised on Beaver Island. My name wasn't always wrong, but I was put through so much that I can't remember my real name. I am an Ojibwe. And when I was 12, I was supposed to start speaking English with my family because I was having trouble with my lessons. You see, it wasn't a choice to go to these schools. White men came to my village and they spoke to our families. Some families were convinced by the men that this would help their children fit in and live a better life. My family, however, was not convinced, but we were told we'd be taken by force if we did not go with them. Some of the children were so scared. They had never been away from their families, and The way that the men spoke was strange. They're put inside the men's cars and taken to a boat. They're all scared. After they got off the boat, they were put into a car again. They drove to a place called Harbor Springs. Once they got there, they were all shoved ahead to go into the building. There were children of all nations, and some of them crying. They tried to stay strong. First thing that happened was they cut their hair and shaved it off. They took everything they brought with them away. Now, I never went to a boarding school, but I did go to a Catholic school. My experience was very similar. We're told that we can no longer speak in our native tongues or we'd be punished. We're fed foods that we did not like or know. We're told we can only be like savages. My hair was cut off, and I was given a uniform to wear instead of my own clothes. I had to sleep in a room with strangers and slept in a small, scratchy bed. The strict schedule was focused on vocational training and religious education. Classes were offered in English language, woodworking, farming, sewing, tailoring, housekeeping, and basic first aid. The coursework included teaching us how to adapt and fit into white culture. I actually like that though work. I didn't like sitting in a hard wooden seat and getting in trouble and I didn't understand. Some kids try to act out or run away. And they were punished like animals. A lot of kids got really sick and died or just went away. Eventually I learned to read and write in English. Some kids got to work in a school newspaper that was sent to the parents. Only the stories about the good things were printed though. I started to forget. I started to forget my language as days went by. Couldn't remember the stories I was told or the reasons that we did things. Some children actually liked to learn, enjoyed being at school, and left their families forever to do some new ways. They became part of the white man's world. Some children went home to try and help their tribes fit in or fight for better ways of life for them on the reservation. School ended after 8th grade for us, and we had to either go get a job or use new ways back at home. Even though I only have an 8th grade education, I'm very smart because I read a lot. That's a positive thing in this new frontier. I forgot my way in culture though. This was negative. I no longer knew the stories of my people to pass on to my future children. Classes for Native American children continued until Harbor Springs School closed on June 6, 1983. After 8th grade, my papa's dad got a job fishing down here in South Haven, Michigan. And that's when he moved here, and he's lived here ever since. This is just one Native American story. But these schools have changed lives, and not always in a good way. I don't know my language or my culture. You see, this new frontier in American history was civilized to Native American. Through re-education, for them to become marketable in American society, negatively impacted Native American people's cultural identity. And I want to spread awareness about this new frontier and what it has caused. Very little of Native American experiences have been written in textbooks. In 2021, the United States Department of Interior issued a memorandum to investigate the federal Indian boarding school system. The report confirmed that the United States directly targeted Native American children in the pursuit of cultural assimilation and, in a broader sense, the dispossessed tribes. The report released in 2022 serves as a push for federal policy to try and find ways to revitalize lost languages and culture.